This video is all about how to use speed ramps to make your transitions super smooth. As you can see behind me, I am not at my studio. There's Rachel. We actually just finished a shoot here in Kansas City. This is the studio that we're in. My crew back there is cleaning up, and Rachel wants to say hi. Come here, say hi. You can say hi. So how do you do a speed ramp transition? So a speed ramp transition is basically when you have your footage playing at full speed or whatever speed that you shot at, and then you either ramp into it by going fast to slow or slow to fast when you ramp in or ramp out. So we basically use this in transitions to make it flow a little bit better between each transition. And if you saw my video earlier last week, I had a video all about some different transition ideas. And if you add a speed ramp to any of these, it's gonna make them fluid and move faster and smoother. Now there's some other techniques that you can do to add on to a speed ramp that's gonna make it even smoother. And I'll get into that kind of later at the end. But first, let's get into the basics of speed ramping. Now you need to think about your speed ramps before you even get into the edit bay. So when you're out shooting, you need to keep that in consideration. So for these shots that I'm showing you on this in particular, I'm shooting at 120 frames per second because I want to speed ramp into the slow motion, let it play for a second, and then speed ramp into the next shot, which is another slow motion shot. So you have to keep in mind that you want some movement in the shot and you want to shoot it with the edit in mind. So now let's get into the editing software. I'm using Final Cut X to do this, and you can definitely do this in Premiere as well. However, I'm gonna show you using Final Cut. So in Final Cut, what you need to do is first find the shot from beginning to end, the parts that you wanna use. This includes the part that you're gonna speed up and slow down. As you can see here, I have the shot of Jesse, and I shot it in a way where the part that's in focus is where I want to land on the slow motion. Now, I'm going to mark off where I want this shot to start and where I want it to end. And I'm using some music to kind of guide me for this. So if you use music, you can mark your in and out on a beat or somewhere in the track that drives the video. Now I have the marks where I want to start the slow motion, and in the slow motion, what I'm going to do is speed ramp the front half and the back half. And so in Final Cut, if you use Shift B, make sure you have the clip selected, have your cursor at the point that you want your speed ramp to end. When you hit Shift B, what's gonna happen is it's going to basically split the clip and give you the option to speed up the front end. So you're gonna use your retime tool and you're gonna speed it up. You can use 8 times or you could use, say, 20 times. Because this is a slow motion native clip, I'm gonna use 20 times because it's already slowed down 4 times. And now you have a section that is sped up 20 times. It's going to gradually go back to real time, which is slow motion for this specific clip. And you can see here, there's different ways that you can move around these sliders at the top of your retime tool, which basically allows you to change the amount of your speed ramp. So you can play with the beginning or the middle and play with how long you want that speed ramp to last and how long you want the fast section to play. It's all up to personal taste, and it's up to how you're gonna edit this, if it's with music or if it's with a certain pace. This is where you're gonna play with that speed ramp. So the first part is the speed, second part's the ramp, and then the third part, you can see it says it's native 100%. That is where my clip is playing in real time. So if you're shooting at like 120 frame per second, but it's not slowed down in camera, you're not using a variable frame rate camera, then right here is where you'll change the speed to make this clip slower. And you do the same thing on the tail end of your video as well. So you can ramp into your clip and then you can ramp out of your clip. Now what you're gonna wanna do is do this for each of the shots that you want in your transition sequence. You can already see that it's a much smoother transition than if you were to just do a cut between these, or if you were to just like speed up the clip to like 20% at the end. Now to make this even smoother between the shots, you can add a motion blur. And I'll put a link down below where you guys can check out this motion blur effect that you just add over the top of your footage. And when you do this, it just makes it flow a little bit more. So adding some speed ramp and a motion blur to any transition is going to just make it that much smoother and just make it look that much better. And one last thing, go check out my other video on some different transition techniques. This will give you some ideas of different ways to do transitions, and then you can add the speed ramp and motion blur to those transitions and really take your edits to the next level. All right guys, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's a lot of awesome filmmaking tutorials and camera reviews on this channel. Also check out thecreatorfilmschool.com, which is my nuts to bolts, everything you need to know to have a career as a filmmaker or a creator. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one.